What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Getting Technical, joined by Raleigh and Sam. What's going on, fellas?
That's good.
Doing good, man.
Yeah, we took a little 2-week hiatus for the holidays, Christmas, New Year's. We're back. It's January 4th. A lot has happened over the 2-week span in the world of sports, so we could jump right into it. I know we wanted to talk about the injury that occurred in the Bills-Bengals game. So, yeah, we can kind of start there.
Yeah, I mean, this is a scary injury, man. I mean, it just looks like a normal fucking NFL play, and you just saw him stand up. He wobbled a little bit and dropped straight down. And initially, I saw it happen initially, like how he kind of fell back. My dad had no idea what was going on. And in the replay, you see Joe Mixon point at him immediately, and then they end up bringing everybody over. But like I said, it was just a normal NFL play. T. Higgins just threw his shoulder into his chest and just hit him at that exact moment where his heart was just skipping a beat and just immediately hit him. And I was watching CNN. They had mentioned how it was just like a millisecond. It has to happen at the exact millisecond for that kind of, cardiac arrest to actually happen.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I think I'm not sure who said it, but they were talking about how you don't realize how like unforgiving and brutal a sport like football is until it's too late sometimes, you know. But yeah, I mean, that was like, I've never seen anything. I don't know about you guys. I mean, I know there's been reports of things that have happened and like not necessarily on the professional level, things like that, but it was really, it was a scary thing to see. And to see all those players' reactions as well. It was just a weird experience to watch that.
Yeah, and it's crazy because like Damar Hamlin, I believe he was on a podcast or on ESPN or somewhere talking though, and he was just talking about like how you never know, like, and last time you're gonna play, and it's kind of like, it's just crazy how he like put that out there, and then boom, like the next time he steps on a football field that happens. But hopefully everything's okay, and like he gets back to being able to play football again. But yeah, it just shows you that every time you step on the field, you're really risking your life, and it's I think they did the right thing by not continuing to play.
Yeah, they had.
Well, it wasn't initially the NFL's decision. The players and coaches decided it, which was kind of surprising. And the NFL took a lot of heat for it when the initial kind of idea came down from the NFL offices saying, all right, we'll give everybody 5 minutes, which definitely wasn't enough time.
Yeah.
No,
they denied that though, right?
Yeah,
They said that they denied it, but I mean, there's no way that that Adam Schefter and all of ESPN is reporting it and repeating it over the airwaves, and apparently, like, why would they just make that up,
Yeah, no, and you got like, bro, like it just shows like the corporate business side of the NFL. Like, it's like, they want the money. This was supposed to be a big primetime game. The viewing, the what I'm saying, the numbers are going to go through the roof. This had crazy playoff implications. I mean, this has affected a lot of fantasy football owners, and their playoffs championship week. So there's so much that goes into it, and the NFL just looks at it as like next man up, and it's just like the players and coaches are like, nah, like fuck that. Like this is not a broken ankle. This isn't, a torn ACL. Like, this is like
9 minutes
heart,
of CPR.
You know what I'm saying? This guy's heart stopped on the field. Like, he could not wake up. So.
Yeah, I mean, and the fact that it's like you can't go out there not knowing, like, if, your brother, family, who you spend all this time with, you become so close with, you don't even know if they're going to make it through it.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even know if they're going to survive. So it's just crazy. I mean, I think that the reports are saying that he's making progress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's a couple positive points within the entire story. I mean, thank goodness that his mother was there and she wasn't in Buffalo watching the game, or in Pennsylvania, wherever he was, wherever town he grew up in. But because that would have been awful for her to see that and not be able to go to him and be with him in the hospital. Yeah. On top of it, you see his GoFundMe foundation.
Over $6 million.
Over $6.5 million. They had a $2,500 goal that they were only at like just over 1,000 before the play happened, and then his GoFundMe started getting recirculated all over Twitter.
Wow.
And as of today, it was at like $6.6 million.
Crazy.
I saw Jim Irsay was one of the most recent donors, the owner of the Colts. He donated $25,003. obviously for his number.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you just see those kind of donations all over. I saw a couple NFL players donated $10,000 each.
Wow.
So
Yeah. It was a lot of. I also saw like, you saw the after the game like the Bills fans and the Bengals fans like getting together, praying for Hamlin. I even saw some guy from Buffalo drove all the way to University of Cincinnati Hospital, like. I don't even know if he like prayed outside of or something, and like he just was like there to like he stayed outside, showed his like condolences, like praying for him or whatever, and then he drove right back to Buffalo. I don't know how long that drive is, but I'm pretty sure it's not close.
yeah, it had to have been a day's worth of driving.
Yeah, I just saw it on Twitter earlier, but
Diggs actually stayed back. The team ended up getting on the flight, and he stayed back and went to the hospital.
Wow.
Yeah, so prayers up to DeMar Hamlin. Hopefully, like you said, Zach, he gets back on the field, or I mean, more importantly, he's just good and healthy in general.
Yeah.
And another thing that I noticed, over the last couple of years, there have been 4 major injuries on the Cincinnati Bengals field. There was obviously this injury with DeMar. Earlier in the season, Tua's injury happened on Thursday Night Football. Mm-hmm. A couple years ago with the Antonio Brown injury when he went over the middle and got hit by Vontaze Burfict. And there was also, I think it was a year or two before that, the Ryan Shazier injury where he lost all he had that spinal cord injury and he had to relearn how to walk and everything, which he's finally fully able to walk again. Yeah, the linebacker for the Steelers, number 50. He finally just, I think it was within the last year or so, he regained his full ability to walk.
Wow.
All of those injuries happened on that field.
That's wild.
That is crazy. I mean, I think you guys ready to move on?
Yeah.
I think the first thing I wanted to talk about was Derek Carr. Got benched for Stidham. They actually looked pretty good against San Francisco.
They did.
But, I mean, there's a lot up in the air now with Derek Carr. So where do you guys think will he get traded? Will he come back? Doesn't look like he'll be returning to the Steelers next year. Where do you guys think the best landing spots will be?
I think, honestly, I mean, if you had to pick 3 teams, I'd say the top 3 landing spots for someone like Derek Carr would be Seattle, Atlanta, and Pittsburgh.
No Jets?
I don't think the Jets will go get Derek Carr. I just don't think they would. I don't think they would get him. I mean, he might be a good fit, but I don't think the Jets would go. I think the Jets are gonna really try to see what they got with Mike White and Zach Wilson for at least for another season before they go get like a veteran. Because like I think like Derek Carr has to be in a situation where like I mean the Jets are playoff ready everywhere else, but I just think because their core is so young, they want someone that they could probably build with over the next couple of years.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I think like teams like Atlanta who do have a good receiving core and a good running back and a pretty good defense, and especially like a team like Seattle, like I mean obviously like Geno did what he could, but Geno kind of fell off towards the tail end of this year. And like I mean like Derek Carr could step into that situation with DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Noah Fant, Kenneth Walker, DJ Dallas, like with that defense and offensive line, like I mean that could be a pretty good situation for Derek Carr.
Yeah, I agree with Seattle definitely. I don't know how I feel about Pittsburgh. I mean, 10 straight years or however long Mike Tomlin has been the coach, I think it might be even 12 now. He's never had a losing season, and the fact that he just did it with Kenny Pickett, I think that they're ready to just continue to build around him and save that cap room for somewhere else, because then again, you do have to give up a decent amount of cap space to get a quarterback for $40 million. Okay. And I saw one that was actually pretty interesting, was a straight-up trade for Mac Jones. Derek Carr for Mac Jones. Mac Jones gets to go back with his old offensive coordinator and Josh McDaniels. He plays with him in Vegas now. And then Derek Carr gets a chance to go play for the New England Patriots, who obviously they have a top 10 caliber defense. They have weapons on offense. They'll have a good draft pick to try and get some more weapons to put around Derek Carr, some cap space to actually move some pieces around. So I think that would be a decent option for them.
Yeah. Where do you see him going?
Yeah, I mean, I think to me what stood out the most, like, I was thinking Jets. I understand your point of how, like, they kind of want to go younger. But, this year, I think he's thrown, like, 24 touchdowns and he has, like, 12 interceptions. It's like, that would be arguably one of the best Jets quarterback seasons ever. Like, the Jets have had such horrible quarterback play year after year after year after year. And I think the defense looks good. They've taken a few steps back recently. But I don't know. I feel like after another offseason and letting Joe Douglas make a few more moves, strengthen up the offensive line. Garrett Wilson gets another year. Breece Hall comes back. Hopefully Becton and AVT are back as well. I think that they're really going to be close to a team that can make a run. And I think Derek Carr could fit well. I could see the Jets, if they do go a veteran route, just going with Jimmy G because he knows the system. He's been with Saleh on the floor, and they know him. I think it would
the
be an
injury
interesting
history with him is tough, though.
Jimmy G?
Yeah, like you're going to spend all that money because you have to sign him. And they have to be able to create the cap room for him also, which is why I think if they create cap room, if anything, you got to go get Lamar.
Yeah.
The fact that he's a free agent, I don't know how.
Jets?
Yeah, like I don't see a way that the way that the season is ending for the Ravens, they haven't been able to surround him with great talent, and they are barely making the playoffs. They just lost to the Steelers on Sunday Night Football. Obviously, he didn't play, but my point is that how long can Lamar be there and be comfortable playing for a team that continues to not be able to put pieces around him when he's MVP caliber type of player?
Yeah. I mean, I think if Lamar goes to the Jets, I think they're Super Bowl contenders like immediately, and I think, I mean, with the New York market and like how marketable he will be, especially in like a Jets uniform. I mean, he'd be probably the biggest Jets player in the last. I mean, like,
since Revis, I guess.
Yeah, but like even what I'm saying, like Revis got drafted there.
Yeah.
So I'm saying like biggest free agent signing, like
Well,
what?
I thought Le'Veon Bell.
Since LT.
Yeah, LaDainian. But I'm saying like even like those guys, like they were like kind of on the tail end.
Yeah.
For like I'm saying like Chris Johnson was kind of out of prime.
Yeah.
Le'Veon was.
I would say, but like Le'Veon, like people were still like everyone was hyped.
Oh yeah.
So I would
No,
say
Le'Veon was
since
my favorite player in the league.
when they signed him.
No, before. Even
Before
when he
that?
was with the Steelers, he was my favorite player to watch.
Yeah. And then it was just like classic Jets. Like he just wasn't good. But
Right. He still wasn't good. He signed with three teams: the Ravens, the Bucks, and the Chiefs. He didn't do anything with any of them either.
Yeah. I mean, the NFL is like one of those. It's a sport where you can't take a year off. Like you just can't take a year off and then come back the same. I mean, we see it like. I mean, Deshaun Watson is not the same caliber he was before. And obviously, it might give him some time. Antonio Brown, when he took the time out, he still wasn't the same guy. Obviously, Le'Veon Bell. There's a few other guys in the past that have just like taken that like year off, like trying to like hold out with money, and like whenever they come back, like they're just not the same. Like I don't know, like it does something to your body where you're not in NFL shape, where you just the performance. That year. A year in the NFL is like fucking 10 years in like real life time. You know what I'm saying? Like what it does to like your body and stuff like that. So
that's why the average lifespan of an NFL player is only 4 years because of the toll that it takes on your body. And when you're so used to it year in and year out, especially the way college programs are dealt now, especially places like Bama and all the SEC teams, they're basically bred through that program. Then they go through the NFL. They go through all those processes as a rookie at a young age, and then their bodies just kind of get used to it.
Yeah. I mean, and then especially as a running back, I think it's like a year or a year and a half. It's like the average career span in the NFL.
And especially when it's a guy like Lev Bell who's like holding out for like that big contract, he basically gave up a year of his prime. Yeah, because you only have like you said 4-6 years as really an elite running back. Like we saw Todd Gurley just fell off a cliff. And he kind of
Zeke isn't the same.
Not the same at all. And it's like he gave that up, and he got his money, but at the same time he lost a year where he probably would have been an All-Pro. And
could have stayed in that like momentum of being like the top back in the league.
But at the time, I don't blame him. I mean, he was the top back in the league, and the Steelers refused to pay him. Yeah, they kept franchise tagging him.
He got the bag, so it worked financially at least.
It worked out for both of them.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. You want to talk about your Giants quickly?
Yeah. I mean, bro, I'm just happy. I'm happy they're in the playoffs, first time since 2016. I think they're playing pretty good football right now. I like the way they looked against Minnesota. They lost, game-winning field goal, and Minnesota is, one of the top teams in the NFC. They beat the shit out of the Colts, which they should have done, and like that's finally like what good teams should do.
That's what a good team does.
The Giants beat like majority of the teams they should have beat this year. You know what I'm saying? Like they had a tough loss to Seattle. They lost Dallas, which is a good football team. They lost to Philly, good football team. The one loss that hurts was probably Detroit. That was a winnable game, but Detroit has played everyone tough this year. But, I mean, hey, the Giants are doing what they're supposed to do. They handled business. They clinched a playoff berth, so I'm happy. And I think the Giants can beat any team in the NFC on, you know what I'm saying? It's one game in the playoffs, and they're the underdog. They have nothing to lose. They've already overachieved, and hey, we get to see what Daniel Jones is made of. Nobody thought Eli Manning was going to be a good playoff quarterback, and bro, the guy stepped up and made some fucking throws. So maybe Eli and Peyton were right about Daniel Jones, and they see something in him. And now it's time to see what he's made of.
I think Daniel Jones is good. He's only really had Saquon. He's got Richie James, and I'm not gonna lie, Darius Slayton. Like, if he gets in, if they
Isaiah Hodgins now,
yeah.
Sterling
if
Shepard.
during the offseason they can get like a real stud guy to come in there, whether it's in the draft, first round, or they make a trade or a signing. It would be cool to see what they can do. I definitely think they can beat the Vikings.
I think the Wan'Dale Robinson injury really hurt.
Yeah,
he's a really good player.
Yeah,
for where they got him, I think in the third round, it was definitely good.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a good playmaker for them. I guess kind of what they wished Kadarius Toney would have been.
Yeah.
The
Galladay signing is just what killed them.
Yeah, no, the Galladay signing hurt. That was just it was such a reach because he was the best receiver in free agency that year, and everyone else was making moves, and I guess they just felt like they just needed to do something for Daniel Jones, which I get the thought. And it's easy to speak in hindsight right now because of how bad Galladay has been. But the year before that in Detroit, the guy was a monster. He was fucking jump. You know what I'm saying? He was a deep threat. He was fucking making plays. He was helping Stafford out a lot.
Yeah.
And
but that's the biggest thing. He's a dome receiver. He can't play in open field. You know what I mean? He was always made of glass. Plus, like you said, he was playing with Matt Stafford. Big drop off. At least for when he first joined the Giants, just
absolutely.
because Jones wasn't where he is now.
Yeah, but it's been, hey, bro, it's been a good year. I'm looking forward to the playoffs. It's going to be more than likely they're going to play Minnesota in the first round.
Should be a good game.
Weather won't be a factor. Minnesota just fucking lost to Green Bay. Got steamrolled by Green Bay. I'm not sure what they'll do. I'm not sure who they're playing. I think they're playing. Who are they playing last week? Pretty sure it's a divisional game. I think they got Chicago or Detroit.
Yeah, I think it's Chicago.
Yeah, I think it's Chicago. Where, I don't know if they'll play their starters. I don't think. They probably will, because I think if they win this game and Philly loses, then they'll get the home field advantage throughout, right?
No, because they would have a tied record and Philly beat them on Monday Night Football in week 4.
Oh, they would be tied regardless?
They would be tied. They would both be 13-4, I think.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So I guess this doesn't really have any implications on the playoffs. So.
Yeah, if I'm correct, I think I'm just going off the top. I'm pretty sure that's how it is.
Yeah.
And plus, their second string center, or they're on their second string center because Garrett Bradbury was hurt, and then. Their offensive line just really isn't in shambles towards the end of the season.
Yeah,
I think that's why they were mainly struggling during the Packers game.
Yeah. So definitely a winnable game for the Giants. They beat the Giants by 3 last time they played them. Make a few adjustments, and you see a team that it's not that often that you see a team that on a quick of a turnaround that's not a divisional game. So it's they just kind of saw each other. So now they're both gonna have to do some scouting and adjusting and really fucking dig deep into their play calling and what worked and what didn't work. So it should be fun. Should be another exciting game down to the wire. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. As far as football, I think I only have one more topic that I really want to talk about. So, and it leads with the Vikings. The Packers just beat the shit out of them. Packers are making a run. They still can make the playoffs, right?
Yeah, I think they have to win. They have to beat Detroit. I think they're fighting for the last playoff spot.
If they get
Detroit
in,
and Washington,
yeah,
and Seattle.
In Seattle, yep.
If the Packers get in, how do you think they can actually make a run? They're putting it together now. They've got Rodgers. The defense looks good. They've got Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. The receivers, they're a little sketchy because they got Christian Watson, the rookie.
Romeo Dubes, who's a rookie.
Dubes.
Randall Cobb.
They've got
Tanyan.
They've got pieces, and they have Rodgers, who
Yeah.
on any given Sunday can be the best quarterback in the league. Do you guys think they can really make a run? I think it's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think that it all depends who their matchup would be. I think the Cowboys, unless the Cowboys end up winning and the Eagles lose, I think the Cowboys can take that first overall seed. So I think it would be tough because then it would come down to, in the second round, if the Packers advance and the Cowboys advance, a Cowboys home game against the Packers. I feel like that defensive front for Dallas would end up getting through that Packers O-line pretty easily.
Yeah, I think it all depends on matchups, but I mean, it's not about the regular season, you know what I'm saying? It's about who's playing well towards the end of the season. So it's like you look at teams like Tampa, who kind of look like they fucking got shit together these past couple weeks. Like they've played pretty good football. And then obviously Green Bay. And I mean, you don't want to see Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady in the first round of any playoff game in NFL history. I don't care who you are, who's on your roster. Those are two guys that you do not want to see in the playoffs. And, I mean, bro, I said this in other episodes, but it's like, imagine, would you guys be surprised if we saw a Green Bay-Tampa NFC Championship game this year? I wouldn't be surprised.
No.
Yeah, no, not at all.
You know, like,
I mean, they could. It's like when we were talking about how the Giants, like you think you can beat the Vikings. Like I'd rather play the Vikings if I was the Giants, as opposed to playing
Green Bay.
Yeah, Brady or Rodgers, because it's like Kirk Cousins. He's been good this year. He's got Jefferson. They've got a good team, but I'm a lot more scared of Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady.
Guys that have been there before. They've been battle tested. I mean, bro, look at the quarterbacks in the NFC. Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts, maybe Gardner Minshew, if you know what I'm saying, depending on who's healthy. Who else? Kirk
Daniel
Cousins
Jones,
and Daniel Jones. And then you got Brady and Rodgers.
Yeah.
And I mean, probably the two worst records with Brady and Rodgers, and like that means nothing. The NFL playoffs is a clean slate. Everyone's 0-0. It's win or go home. And I mean, if I'm Brady and Rodgers, I'm kind of like licking my chops against like these other quarterbacks, because it's like, bro, like none of these guys have ever won anything. They don't even know what winning feels like. So it's like, I mean, these guys. I mean, I would not be surprised if the Packers or Tampa goes on a run, or we see them both in the NFC Championship. And I think that would be a dope NFC Championship. I wouldn't be mad about that at all.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah, for sure.
Seeing those two go at it is always a good time. It's always like something good to see. Yeah. Do you guys want to move into basketball?
Yeah.
All right. I mean, I think we should just start it off with Donovan Mitchell. 71 points. He passed Booker's 70. So I'm pretty sure it's a top 10 scoring effort in NBA history.
I want to say it
might be even high.
I think it's 4. I think it's Wilt, Kobe, Elgin Baylor, and then Donovan Mitchell. I think Elgin Baylor had 74.
Yeah, 74, 75,
Yeah.
I mean, the coolest thing about like him putting at those 71 points is like I'm pretty sure he had 6 points in the first quarter, and I think he had 15 at half.
Really?
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah, he
but
scored
also
40 points in the second half.
He still had 11 assists too and 8 rebounds.
And the crazy thing was though, he did it on such like crazy efficiency.
Yeah, it was like 22 for 34
yeah.
or something like that.
I mean, it was crazy to watch. I mean, I only got to see the highlights. It wasn't on our TV, but just 71 points, man, like that is it's just ridiculous to think about.
Yeah, he's I mean, bro, he's special. Like we spoke about it last episode, and I was saying like I still don't think they would even give him an MVP shot, or like, and I mean he's doing whatever he can to put himself in that conversation. And I mean, bro, 71 points it's ridiculous, you know what I'm saying? But I think he's special. Should be an all-star starter in the East. And Cleveland looks really good. Cleveland looks like a legit contender in the East. I don't know if they're on that tier of Boston or Milwaukee, but I think they're right under them. And they may be a year or two away of just building some more chemistry with that young core from being on that same level as those teams.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when we were talking about if he's a MVP caliber player or not, we were also like, obviously, there's so many other players that have MVP caliber resumes that you really have to look towards. And one of those players, obviously Giannis, he just last night I think had his career high with 55 points, and they ended up winning that game. And then Luka over the last
He had the 16-20 game against the Knicks.
yeah, I mean over the last I think they're both averaging over 50 points over the last like 7 games.
Yeah. And then Pop had the quote where he was like, I'm not going to let Luka score 50 tonight. He scored 51. And I think Clay had 54 the other night as well.
Yeah, 54. You seen they drug tested Donovan Mitchell?
Yeah.
I saw that.
But it's been – we talked about earlier in the year how the NBA has kind of been a little bit boring this year. But these past 2 weeks have been I mean, these numbers, people are going crazy. It's fun to watch. I think
even Randall had a 33-piece the other night.
yeah. Well, I wanted to talk about Randall, actually, because over his last 5 games, Julius Randle is averaging 33.6 points per game, 13 rebounds per game, 5.4 assists per game, and he's shooting 41% for 3. It feels crazy to say after what he did last year, but I think he's like a lock for an all-star again this year. Like, he's averaging, I believe, 24, 10, and like 5.
Yeah, I mean,
doing it on high volume, and they're above 500. Like,
yeah, no, I mean, bro, the Knicks are playing good basketball.
Yeah.
I think he'll definitely be an all-star. But it's just like that's just like my that argument that I always have where like he's just not a guy, and it's like it just shows like it's just so like not that it's meaningless, but it's like what does it mean to be like an all-star anymore in the NBA, or like what does it mean to like you will your team over a 500 record and you average 20 and you average a double-double. It's like you're going to get to the playoffs and like the NBA is just so top heavy where it's like a guy like Julius Randle like can't compete with Giannis or Jason Tatum.
yeah.
So it's like all this stuff is cool, like especially as like a New Yorker, as like Knicks fans, and then it's just like deep down we know like nothing is going to come out of this. Like no matter how good they play, it's like they can't beat Boston because Jason Tatum is going to have to match up with Julius Randle, and like Jason Tatum wins that matchup 10 times out of 10.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's like I've been getting into this debate with some fellow Knick fans, and they're like, trade Randle, and the way I see it is like I don't think it makes sense to trade him because what value are you getting? But then their argument is, well, he's not going to take us to that next level. But it's kind of like, to me, it's like, does that mean like if a guy's not going to just make you like an instant contender? Because there's 5, 7 guys that you could really say like will take your team, can be the best option on a championship team.
I'd say
like
10.
far and away.
I'd say 10.
There's about 7 to 10 guys, and it's like the odds are you're just not going to have that guy. And it's like I think that part of it is like you need to just be able to enjoy having good players. And I think with the Knicks, like they have all these picks. They got Brunson, who's good. RJ, he's up and down, but he's still 22. Randall's playing well. Grimes looks good. IQ's good. Mitchell Robinson's good. Like they have young guys, and it's like, look, are they winning a championship? Absolutely not. But at the same time, it's like just try and enjoy like a good basketball team, because regardless of who, like someone was like, what if they just traded him for like tried to get Levine? It's like, if Levine's on this team, it makes no difference in the win total. And it's like you're not getting Luka at least anytime soon. Giannis isn't going to be on your team. LeBron, no. Jokic,
Tatum, no.
Untradeable. Tatum, no. So it's like unless you were getting one of those guys, you're probably going to be in a relatively similar position.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of like enjoy it, and then it's like you have all these picks, and it's like maybe a star like Luka is really unhappy in a year or two, and then you can make a move for him, or you hit on a draft pick, or Quentin Grimes becomes a really good player. Like it's kind of where a lot of these teams I feel like have to come from now. It's like just try and like build that culture. That's what the Nets did, and it didn't really work. It hasn't worked, but now
But then you add KD and Kyrie, and all of a sudden it is working.
But it's like what I was saying is like the Nets didn't like tank, and they didn't. They built a base. They built somewhat of a culture, and it attracted guys like KD and Kyrie to come play there.
But none of those guys are there anymore.
What do you mean? Oh, I know what you mean with that, but it's like but I don't think if they were just like, if they had like 18 wins that year, I don't see KD and Kyrie like let's go team up there.
No, I definitely.
So it's like I feel like you have to build some
just
sort of a culture, even if like guys like KD and Kyrie are gonna come fucking tear it down. But
I mean, hey, they're this 2 seed in the East.
yeah,
You know, they're figuring it out. Ben Simmons is kind of coming along.
Yeah.
He's kind of getting his confidence back, and I mean, hey, the Nets look good, and the Nets are not a team I'd want to play in the playoffs, but it's just like that's what kind of that's what kind of makes the NBA a little boring, because it's like the NFL, like, bro, like the Bengals were in the Super Bowl last year. Like nobody, you know what I'm saying? Like nobody knows what's going to happen this year in the NFL. Like we just said, like it could be the Bucks, who were just 6-8 a week ago, and now could be in the NFC Championship game. It's like basketball. It's like we know the 4 teams that are pretty much going to make it. Like we're watching a whole season. Like that's why nobody cares about the regular season. That's why nobody watches, and that's why guys sit out, because it's like almost just like, all right, maybe there's 6 teams this year. Okay, in the East you got Brooklyn, Milwaukee, or Boston. I guarantee one of those 3 teams is going to be in the NBA Finals, and nobody's going to care until it's one of those matchups in the playoffs. And then in the West, who's it going to be? The Jazz, the Suns. I mean, I don't know about the Warriors. I guess the West is kind of up in the air. But it's like for the past 6 years, it's been the Warriors, and then the Suns kind of came out of nowhere. It's just like the NBA is just like very predictable, and I think that's what takes away some of the excitement. And it's like it's hard, like even as like a Knicks fan, like, oh wow, like we're winning, we're in the playoffs, we have an all-star level caliber player, and all right, and 3 months from now it means nothing because we're gonna get bounced in the first round by the Sixers or something.
Which is another reason why it's like, is the play-in even worth it anymore? It was a cool idea because you get like a couple teams who feel like they should have been in the playoffs, but
and then they get swept by it.
Exactly.
You know, like it's just like a waste of a fucking week of playoffs. It's like just start the regular playoffs already.
Right.
But I guess like the point I'm trying to make is like I understand like the only thing that really matters is like winning a championship, but at the same time it's like the way like the social media and culture is like shifted is like anything but a championship is just like a complete waste of time. And it's like you saw it with guys like Ayton. Like he's like, yo, like, hey, we don't really care about the regular season. It's like you play 82 regular season games. Like that's what like the majority of the games that the fans are gonna watch are the regular season games. So it's like there's nothing wrong with like, is it the best to have a team that you know really can't win the championship? No, but it's like there's nothing wrong with a team that wins 48 games. You can enjoy the season. And then it's like, it's like the guys like Giannis or KD are going to be in the fighting for the championship. But then you're in that mix and something happens, some guy wants out, and you can make a move for him.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the most exciting, there's 2 things. I guess there's 3. I guess the Eastern and Western Conference Finals, the NBA Finals, and then the NBA offseason.
The offseason, I think
That's
the
the most
offseason
exciting
is the
shit.
most exciting part about NBA right now. It's like even the finals is like, I just like, I'm not that excited to watch teams like the Suns. Like the Warriors, you got Steph Curry, but it's like, and Boston's got Tatum, but then there's Giannis, but the rest of the guys, like there's only like 5 or 6 guys that I'm really like, I want to watch those guys. I'm gonna tune in. Yeah. Like I'm not really Devin Booker, maybe.
Yeah, no, I like.
I'm not that excited to watch like all these other guys play. Like, and it's kind of just.
Yeah, last year's finals was good. Like Boston, like seeing Boston, like a young like dynasty, you know, going up against a dynasty that's ran the NBA for the last 6 years. You know, it was cool to see that.
I just didn't like nothing really like when the Cavs and the Warriors are going at it. Like 2016 finals, like that was the best finals I've ever watched. Mm-hmm. And it's like it just seems like none of them are even close to that anymore. Like the games are kind of like, oh, it's the series is close, but it's like Boston won by 20 last night. And then Golden State won by 35 the other night. It's like these games just don't even seem close in the playoffs anymore. It's just like, it's just not entertaining. Like that was what the playoffs was. The NBA playoffs last year, it's like the series were kind of close, but it's like
the wins were
lopsided. It's like, oh, the Grizzlies won by 35 tonight, and then they just lost by 28. It's like there's the competitive. It's just weird, and it's not as entertaining right now.
You think it has to do with the youth that's in the NBA? Like these kids are coming out so early, and they're not really built for playoff basketball yet. And I think with the 82 game season, they get so tired easily. Like it's just such a long haul for that season, and now the play-in on top of it, and then you go through the 7-game series just to get to the NBA Finals. I think it's kind of tough on them, and it's just like, that's why players like Giannis, LeBron, Steph, and all these top end guys, and I guess Tatum now because he's been in the league for 5 years, but that's why all these top end guys are able to get through it and get to the NBA Finals, and that's why we only see the 3 to 6 teams ever make it.
Yeah, and I mean, and it shows the teams that like kind of like built like a strong foundation and built a core like over these years. Like, bro, teams like Milwaukee, like they did it through the draft, they did it through developing these guys. Boston, Golden State. Who else? Like
The Suns outside of Chris Paul.
Denver, yeah, and Denver too. Like these teams have like built through the draft, and like you see the teams that try to like win overnight, like they haven't been successful. Teams like like Miami kind of was successful, but they still like brought in Kyle Lowry, brought in Jimmy Butler. What's the other team in the East that like Brooklyn, like they haven't really won anything yet. Bringing in superstars, teams in the West, the Lakers, LeBron, AD, like they got their chip, but it was kind of short lived. And
it was the bubble,
it was
the
a
bubble
boys,
boys,
and I mean, it just shows like you said, like the teams that like kind of like built through their young core, brought in like some veteran pieces, they've been the most successful.
And you think that's why the Clippers look so poor?
Yeah,
it's just like it's the Clippers and the Nets. It's like both those teams signed 2 superstars, and it's like, what if they've got nothing to show for it? And a lot of it's injuries, but and even it's like guys like Jokic and Giannis and Booker and Donovan Mitchell, like those guys weren't drafted in like the top 5.
No, none of them.
No, not
even
They're all
top 10.
outside of the top 10.
Yeah, outside of the top 10, it's like. And even Draymond, Clay, like Steph fell to like what 9, I think 8. Like
Where was Dame picked?
Dame was 6th.
Something like that.
Yeah, Dame
it's like a
was
lot
6th.
of these guys aren't even top 3, top 5 picks. Like, and it's like you just kind of have to have an eye for it. You have to build a culture, and then eventually it comes. But it is a weird.
Well, sports are about developing. I mean, like in all sports, where you watch it, like. I mean, there is some fucking freaks of nature that just like come in the league, and a guy like LeBron,
Luka,
Giannis. Yeah,
Giannis even took a couple years.
Yeah, it took a while. Like even like Tatum like had to develop, and like those are the guys like Kobe, bro. Like Kobe wasn't good his first 2 or 3 years. This guy's
his
developed.
first playoffs and finals, he was horrible.
Man, KD had to learn how to win. He was putting up numbers, but they weren't really winning games until about 2012.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like that, I think that's like the main thing is like the development in the sports, and like so many like people it's just this microwave society. People just want to put shit in and take it out real quick, and like microwave food usually isn't as good as food that you put in the oven.
They want that immediate satisfaction.
Which is why I'm telling you, like they probably just gotta get rid of the one and done rule, because all it's doing is just it's ruining the idea of foundational pieces towards a basketball team.
Yeah.
And it's making it all about superstars and the money and high point totals, but these teams really don't have anything to work off of.
Yeah.
Especially the coaches, because if the coaches aren't it, the front office looks at the coach and goes, "We just gave you a top 5 pick. Why are you guys below 500?"
Yeah.
But what are you supposed to do? The kid's 18. He just had to ask if he could get up to use the bathroom less than 2 years ago.
Right.
Yet now he's supposed to come in and lead a professional basketball team full of a bunch of veterans that have been in the league for 7 years.
Yeah. They're asked to do a lot. They're crazy weight on their shoulders, and I mean.
So the guy from the Spurs or the Mavericks, I think it was the Mavs. He retired.
Yeah, 3 years.
At like what 22. Because of like just stress, anxiety of just like
his mental health mental health wasn't there.
Have all eyes on you, just so much pressure to just deliver.
Yeah, basketball was draining him more than it was pouring into his cup, and I mean, bro, that's just what it is with athletics, bro. It's mentally draining. It's sacrifice. It's tough, and it shows in these sports, and that's why the guys that are the best of the best, they're fucking they have that mental edge, that mental toughness, and it didn't happen overnight. It took time to develop and learn and grow.
It's crazy. Last thing we talked about the Nets, but this is the last thing I want to touch on before we do our drafts. Jack Vaughn, like, I mean, he just won the Coach of the Month, Eastern Conference. They were 12-1. The Nets have won 12 straight, I believe. Mm-hmm. Second in the East. I mean, it's pretty ridiculous. It's pretty impressive because not only like have they been winning at a crazy rate, but it's like they were falling apart with Nash at the beginning of the season. They got rid of him. He just kind of got thrown into the fire, and now they look like, what we expected them to be years ago when they kind of formed this team. And even last year when they got Ben Simmons, he didn't really play, but we all thought that when Ben Simmons gets back, like, he's going to be able to help this team defensively, things like that, be a playmaker for them. And it's kind of all finally working. So do you guys think that they could be like a legit title contender?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, bro, if you have Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and a perimeter defender like Ben Simmons, facilitator, I mean, I don't see why you couldn't be. Because they can match up with the powerhouses in the East.
Yeah.
They can score with anyone. They can kind of defend and match up pretty well with anyone. And it's about time for Kevin Durant to, like, show, like, this is his last stint where he's like, all right, like, if I don't win this on my own, like, my legacy is completely going to be affected. And then I think Kyrie will give the argument as, like, is he the best Robin of all time? Either him or Pippen. So I think this year and next year is their window. And I mean, if it doesn't get done in these next 2 years, if they don't even make a finals appearance, I mean, hey, like, it'll, Kevin Durant will just go down as that guy with that stigma that he's gonna, carry, and then Kyrie will just go down as an Allen Iverson.
Yeah, they kind of both have something to prove though, because like with Kyrie, it's like he hasn't really won anything without LeBron.
And it's crazy because, like, the media is giving him no love right now at all. And it's like this guy's playing, like, some of the best basketball of his life.
Yeah.
Dude called putback dunk. Like
people...
He's fucking playing out of his mind.
Yeah.
And they don't want to talk about him now. But, like, he says one controversial tweet. And it's like, oh, what can we do to fucking bash this guy? It's like, you guys should fucking give him some flowers now, too. Because, like, the guy's playing really good basketball. Yeah.
But I think it's getting to that point in the season, especially with the NFL playoffs coming up, but it's also getting to that midpoint of the season where the NBA, it's starting to drag. That people are waiting for that NBA All-Star game to happen.
Deadline.
Then the trade deadline, and that's when everything really starts picking up, and you see, like, the news and all the highlight reels and everything. I think it's kind of getting to those dog days.
Yeah.
But another thing with this team is it's we said it before, it's the health of this team. How long? Obviously, we've seen the last 12 games. They've been healthy. They've won. They've looked great. Can they do it for the next 4 or 5 months?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a Knicks fan, and it's like I don't really like the Nets, but I also don't hate the Nets. But I'm almost at the point, like, I would like to see them go on a run. I think it would be cool to see.
Yeah.
Especially for KD.
It would just be cool for New York.
Yeah.
Fucking NBA Finals games in New York City. That would be awesome,
Yeah.
Just how electric it would be, and I think the NBA champion is going to come out of the East this year. I think it's going to be Boston, Milwaukee, or Brooklyn.
I think the Cavs can even make a run at it, but I think they're a little bit behind those other three, but
yeah, I mean, if you're playing good basketball, you could get hot at any point in time.
Especially what we've seen what Donovan Mitchell can do. Do you guys want to do the draft now?
Yeah, for sure.
I have. Oh wait, do you guys have it?
Yeah, I have mine.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I mean, we're gonna get things started with 2017 NBA redraft.
Which year?
2017. That was the second one we did.
Was it 16?
Thought it was 17.
No, we did 18 and 16.
18 and 16.
We skipped 17. That was the one that you wanted to do, but it was ass.
I don't even want to hear it. George's Yang and the fucking.
Say shit about it.
This is 16.
Yeah.
All right. So the 2016 NBA redraft.
Yeah, I had the first pick. So with Philly, I'm gonna go Jaylen Brown as the first pick.
You're the second pick.
Oh, was I the second pick? Second pick, I ended up taking Pascal Siakam.
With the third pick for Boston, I took Brandon Ingram.
Fourth pick, Phoenix, I took Ben Simmons.
For the next pick, I ended up taking Jamal Murray.
Sixth pick, I took Buddy Hield. Probably, not the best decision there, but we'll stick with it.
Seventh pick, Denver, I took DeJounte Murray.
Yeah, for the next pick, I ended up taking Domantas Sabonis. Get him in Sacramento a little bit early.
The ninth pick for Toronto, Karis LeVert.
10th pick, Milwaukee, who drafted him in the second round, but I got him a little bit earlier, Malcolm Brogdon.
For Orlando at 11, I ended up taking Zubats. Put him and Vucevic together, Twin Towers.
Yeah. 12th pick, Utah, Pirtle.
And 13th pick for the Suns, I got Georges Yang.
And for the 14th pick, I forgot who we ended up taking.
Malik Beasley. Yeah.
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 Yeah, that's where it started to tail off towards the end for that draft.
Yeah, a lot of those guys weren't even in the league anymore.
Yeah.
Majority of them.
Yeah, it's crazy how, like, so many of these guys, kind of like what we were talking about before, but it's like so many of these guys get drafted just off pure potential.
Yeah, I wanted to see the undrafted guys that were in the league in 2016.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know off the top of my head, but I was like, I'm sure there's a few that are like impact players in the league that like didn't even get drafted, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just looking at a couple names that like are standing out, like Taurean Prince, who was making a lot of big plays in March Madness, and now he's not doing anything in the NBA.
Yeah, he had a little bit of a run, though.
Yeah, he was a good role guy.
Yeah.
You know, he was a good role guy.
I always liked his game, but yeah. It's
Denzel Valentine.
Yeah, it's guys like that who, they got
I was a
drafted.
Michigan State fan, too.
Mm-hmm.
They played a few years, and then they kind of just fell out of relevance. But it makes you wonder, like, guys like Fred VanVleet and stuff like that, like, they obviously, even guys like Jalen Brunson fall to the second round because, like, they're a little short, and it's like, oh, we don't see the super. It seems like so many teams are just, like, throwing a dart at the board and just hoping for the best with half these guys. It's like, they're just like, well, he's kind of tall, and he's a long wingspan, so maybe if he gets a jump shot out of nowhere, he could become
hard.
like some
it's
top
hard
guy.
To predict what these guys are going to be, especially like the smaller guards. Like like a lot of. I think last year there was only one guard under 6'3" that was even drafted. The guy from Tennessee.
It just feels like there's like they just like kind of just brush off like a lot of guys who've done so much in their college career. It's like, well, they won't be a star. It's kind of like, well, remember when LeBron had that little speech he gave to like Bryce's team about like knowing your role and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like there's room for guys who like aren't gonna be stars, and it just seems like in the drafts at least, like they're just no one even cares to even give these guys a second look half the time.
Yeah. I just looked up another name that stuck out to me. Tyler Ulis.
Yeah.
Went to Kentucky. I just
He
looked
was
up his
on
stats
Phoenix,
for.
right?
I think so. Yeah. I just looked up his stats for his last season in Kentucky. He put up 17 points a game for a Kentucky team. Obviously, the traditional blue blood, always going to have top picks coming out of the draft, and then again, like I said, those kids that are coming out early and they're not ready to make that jump.
He did a couple years in Kentucky. He did two or three. Two years, yeah. And he came in, he's 5'9" point guard, bro. I mean, that's tough. Like, I mean, how many guys 5'9" last in the league, like past Nate Robinson, Isaiah Thomas, Muggsy Bogues, Spud Webb? I mean, you can count on probably two hands guys under 5'10" that stayed in the league. Earl Boykins.
Yeah.
He was my favorite player to play with in like NBA
JJ
Live.
Barea.
Was he really that short? He was 5'9".
Oh,
JJ Barea.
yeah, I think he was
so.
5'9", 5'10".
And a lot of those, like Isaiah Thomas was like listed 5'9", but I'm pretty sure he's like 5'7".
Like 5'7", 5'8".
Yeah.
Chris Paul is probably under 6 foot.
Yeah,
But
just under.
Bro, it's fucking.
hard.
It's very rare for guys like that to get into the league and then stay.
Yeah.
You have to
You're
be
just a-
special.
Just
at
such a
what you do.
disadvantage
Yeah.
physically.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and defensively.
Yeah. All right, let's get into the next one. This was 2018, right?
Yeah, 2018 redraft.
So 2018 NBA redraft. I believe Sam had the
you got
first pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously I'm going to take Luka.
I had the second pick for Sacramento. I took Shea.
Third pick, obviously, because Luka's off the board now. Atlanta's going to go with Trae Young, and they're going to keep him. They're not going to trade this pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the next pick, I mean, I think Memphis stays with Jaren Jackson Jr. there. I think it was perfect fit for them. He's obviously not going to be that guy for you, but
Yeah.
definitely a good piece.
Yeah. Fifth pick, Dallas. I'm going to go with the guy that they should have re-signed. They drafted him in the second round. I'm going to go with Jalen Brunson.
Sixth pick is Orlando. I'm going to go with DeAndre Ayton.
For the seventh pick, Chicago, they end up taking Wendell Carter Jr. I think they stick with the 2, and they go for Anthony Simons.
Yeah. Eighth pick for Cleveland, Mikal Bridges.
ninth pick. I'm gonna go with Michael Porter Jr. He's going to the Knicks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think they wanted him, but
Yeah, they tried.
It was just the injuries.
Yeah,
Well, they passed on him.
they did. Did they?
Yeah,
Yeah, 'cause he went
13
11.
to
Yeah,
Denver.
they took
13?
Kevin Knox. Yeah, they
Or
they took
14
Knox.
to Denver.
Yeah, they took Kevin Knox, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, that would be a nice pick for the Knicks at 9 with Michael Porter Jr.
Yep.
At 10 for Phoenix, I'm gonna have him take Herder.
I think it was Philly.
Is it Philly?
Yeah, it was. Philly.
Oh, it
Yeah,
is Philly. Yeah.
For 11,
Cal
with-
Bridges, yeah, because now he's
yeah,
in.
yeah,
He's
yeah.
technically in Phoenix.
For 11 with Charlotte, gonna stay with Miles Bridges. I think
Good
he
pick.
actually. I think they've been like working out
A deal.
a
right?
deal with him to bring him back. So
Yeah.
this is 2018, not current day.
Right. 12th pick for the Clippers. I'm gonna go Gary Trent Jr., who fell like pretty far into the second round
Yeah,
that
he's-
year, and he's
he-
developed into a really nice player.
He's really good.
Yeah, and Clippers actually had back-to-back picks, so I have them taking Robert Williams. I think would have been a good fit since we had I had Zubats going before their pick
Mm,
in the draft in 2016.
right.
Yeah, and then 14, Denver. Gonna go with Mitchell Robinson. I think he'd be a perfect fit to back up Jokic. He's
Yeah.
a little bit better than a backup, but I think that would be a nice fit.
Yeah, Denver's notorious for having that kind of depth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like with Bol Bol. They had
Mhm.
Bol Bol, didn't play him at all. He's having a great season in Orlando right now.
Yeah, it's crazy because like he's like literally like I feel like the same player as Wembanyama.
I was just gonna say
He's like the same player.
People
and, like,
really have
nobody,
been saying
like,
that.
says anything about Bol Bol. And like
Yeah.
I guarantee in like 2 years, Bol Bol's gonna be an all-star. He's
Yeah,
gonna
I-
average like 22, 14, and 6, and he's gonna be shooting 40% from 3, and everyone's gonna be like,
Yeah.
yo, and like, bro, wait till he puts like some muscle on his body too.
People said the same thing about Giannis.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And like, bro, to me, he's so much more skilled than Giannis.
Oh,
Dude, Bol-
yeah.
So much more skilled.
I like
Shooting the basketball alone.
Yeah.
just handling skill, the way
Everything
he moves,
about his
like,
game.
He's smooth, you know. Like
Yeah.
Giannis is kind of like choppy and fucking like nasty, and he's just so physically dominant. But like Bol like has game, and he's just the same body. You know what I'm saying? Like wingspan, height. I think he's probably taller. He is taller than
I
Giannis.
think so. Yeah, isn't he like 7 something?
Yeah, like 7'2".
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Giannis
the way
is
he
6'11".
moves.
his game is nice. I think he just kind of. I know he fell in the draft because of like injuries, because he was projected to be a lottery pick, and then
Yeah.
he went like late second round. But it just never really made sense to me why Denver never played him. And I mean, I wanted the Knicks to get him, but yeah, if he can just stay on the court, build some muscle, like he's gonna be a problem in the league for a while. He's got a lot of talent.
But all right, yeah, that's a good.
Yeah.